All right, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I like this one. I know you can't taste it. What does this taste like to you?
It tastes like thick water.
Thick water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's like the Junmai's kind of. Yeah, it's got that nice kind of mouthfeel to it, but
Yeah.
this is supposed to have a lighter taste anyways. This is Tande.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is kind of really popular. This is a popular style in Niigata.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Yamanashi, not Niigata, but whatever. But yeah, but still. Anyways, we can't really talk about the sake because you can't taste it yet.
I can't taste it. I still don't have a sense of taste in my mouth.
But what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about something pretty fun. We're going to talk about beating the summer heat.
Beating the summer heat in Japan versus the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about somewhere where we're from, because I feel like where you are and where I'm from is quite different.
All right. So,
ladies first.
All right, fair enough. Okay, let me see. How far back do I want to go? All right. So when I was a kid, summers meant setting up this big slip and slide.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did you do slip and slides?
I did slip and slides, yeah.
So I don't think slip and slides are a thing in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll explain this a little bit. So basically, you take this long plastic tarp, right? And usually there's like special tarps that you can buy at the store that are like specifically for this, but honestly, any tarp will do. And basically you take your garden hose and you wet down the tarp, and then you lay down the tarp in your grass lawn. And so right off the bat, like, this is very American because it's like we're talking about having a big lawn,
a grass lawn that's
a
long
big
enough
grass
for the slide
lawn,
thing.
and it's like you just don't have that here in Japan, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at people's grass lawns, there's like a tiny little square in front of their house or behind their house, right? But most American houses have like really big yards, and so you'll lay this down in your yard, and then you'll use your hose and keep the hose running throughout the day. So the water bills are so high at many American houses that have kids because of this. And then so kids will like run up and then jump onto these things and then slide down.
Yeah. So it's basically like a slide that's not above ground. It's like a sheet that you slide on. Yeah. And there's water running on it, so it's slippery. Yeah.
And so like this is, you know, and this is probably something more of a 90s kid thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much this happens nowadays, but a lot of the neighborhood kids will come around, and usually like one kid has their slip and slide set up, and then everyone will kind of hang out at that person's house. And my dad always used to get super angry because we would keep the slip and slide up the entire day, and it just kills grass. So it's like when you take the slip and slide off, you'll have this big, like, long rectangle of dead grass.
Yeah, right underneath it.
It looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible.
So you know when someone has slip and slide out.
Yeah. But we used to do that every summer. And then we would fill up water balloons, and we'd be throwing water balloons at each other. And so it's like a lot of like the summer activity as a kid was spent around just garden stuff.
Yeah, right. Playing in the garden, inviting your friends over.
Yeah.
And because you have like a nice garden with like grass, you can get wet and you can throw water because it'll just get sucked up, you know? But, you know, so one thing that I actually have a question for you is what did you guys do for cooling the house?
Oh, for cooling the house. So we would, I mean, there was two ways, right? We had an air conditioning, but we very rarely ever used the air conditioning.
When you say air conditioning, like what do you mean by that?
Like an air cone.
I know, but what kind of unit was it like? Was it attached to the wall or?
So they would usually be attached to the windows. Yeah. Actually. So they weren't as fancy as like the air cone units that you see here in Japan. Yeah. They're usually like a very cheap, like $50 air conditioner that you'll hook up and you'll attach it to your window of whatever room you're wanting to cool. And so that's what like the typical air conditioner is in a house. So like a usual house will have 2 to 3 air conditioners,
Yeah.
like put out in different rooms and everything.
Yeah, like so one thing that I for me is that, it really starts to be summer when you install the air conditioning unit.
Yeah,
in your room.
yeah.
And it's really just like this box, and I don't know about yours, but so it was this box, but then it had like these fans on the side that you'd basically put it in, and then you'd extend the fans to the width of the window, and you'd pull down the window pane down on top of it, so it kind of sandwiched it in. There was like a little hook that kind of supported so it didn't fall out.
Yeah.
And then you would just like flip the switch, and all of like the water would come out from the back of the unit, which was outside of the house now.
Yeah.
And I remember like when you're walking in the city, sometimes you have to be careful because sometimes it's almost like rain is coming down on you because of the apartment buildings with the air conditioning, you know? Yeah, so that's like a really big difference here. Because so one thing that was interesting, so we just we got a new house and we just installed some air conditioning units.
Yeah.
And it says you must call a specialist to do this. Please don't set it up by yourself. Whereas in the States, it's like put it in the window, plug it in, you're good.
Yeah. No, it's really funny. And I remember another thing that you'll commonly see in American houses is these giant industrial sized fans.
Yeah.
So like my parents used to have one for their room, and I think we had one like that was set up in the hallway. And you get your little senpuki here, right? You go to the store and you get, it's like on a little stand and it's got its thing, right? Well, like the American sized ones are these just giant squares.
Yeah. They would have to be close to like a square meter almost in size.
Yeah. And they're just huge and loud. It sounds like you're like revving up like an airplane.
Yeah.
When you're getting them started.
Yeah. It's like, so in the hallway where all the bedrooms are, you'd have the fan at the end of the hallway just blowing the air, and so it would go through and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever have a ceiling fan in your room?
In my room, no.
Okay.
No, but my friend's room did when we were kids growing up. And us being little boys, we used to put stuff on it and like try to have it hit stuff. So it was more of a toy than an actual fan.
Okay. Yeah, so I had a ceiling fan in my room, and I feel like, have you really seen ceiling fans in houses in Japan here?
I don't think I've seen a single ceiling fan in this country.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe you see them sometimes in like a restaurant or something, but not in like a residence. But my room, we had a ceiling fan. I remember, so apparently this is a German thing, but
ceiling fans?
No.
Oh.
So I would cover my whole body except from like my face, and I would have the fan on strong. So I would have like this wind blowing in my face while I was sleeping.
Oh, really?
And no other part of my body would feel the wind. It was just my face. And like if my toe kind of stuck out and I could feel the wind on my toe, then I couldn't sleep. So I had to like cover myself.
You know what? I kind of understand that because I'm the kind of person, I cannot sleep without a blanket.
Yeah.
Even if it's super hot in the summer, I need to be wrapped in a blanket. Like it's really obnoxious because it's like you get really hot and it's like, so I kind of understand how that feels.
Yeah, one thing that I find kind of really cool living here is, people will. Did you guys like in the States? Did you ever switch between like winter bedding and summer bedding? Like so I'm not talking about like thick covers. I'm talking about like the mattress cover you have. Did you ever switch it out for winter or summer?
Mattress cover. I mean, like I had quilted sheets and stuff
on top, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like a mattress cover. I feel like it was the same.
Yeah, because so what I've seen here with like futon covers, and also Natsumi does this too, is now that it's summer, she has like a cover on the mattress that's more sheer and it feels cooler to the touch.
Oh, really?
So it feels cooler when you're sleeping.
Oh. Man, I need to get that.
Yeah. It's
We're
funny.
still using our winter cover.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you go to Uniqlo too and you have like the heat, not the heat tech, but like the cool whatever.
The cool biz.
Yeah. You have the stuff like, actually this is one of those things where like it keeps you cool.
Yeah.
And like in the States, did you ever see like clothes that advertised oh, this will feel super cool in summer?
Not so much. I mean, no, not really.
Yeah.
Because I feel like summer clothes just like that feels like the baseline for clothing in the US.
Yeah.
And then when it gets cold out, you just put jackets on, right? It's like the idea of like really layering yourself and wearing like long sleeve stuff. It's like we don't really do that in the US. It's like if you're cold, you just put a jacket on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like so one thing that I find interesting here is, a lot of people when they want to beat the heat. Yeah, I was just seeing this because it's like 33 degrees outside today or something. It's like super hot today.
It's hot.
Yeah, that's probably why my cake melted a little bit. But yeah, so I saw like so many people with parasols, and you see a lot of women here like covering their arms for like the UV rays. So even though it's summer, they're wearing like these long sleeves and stuff.
Yeah, I find that really fascinating because, I mean, I don't know how else to say this, but Arthur, we're very pale.
We are very pale.
You know, white people just tend to be.
You're more ruddy, more red than I am. You're Irish leprechaun.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that, as a like when you see people here, you would think that it's like, okay, well, they have darker complexions, so they probably are a little bit more resistant to like, of the effects of the sun than we are. But when you go back to the United States, you don't really see that anywhere. Yeah. Like you see people walking around in like tank tops and like low cut clothing in the summer, and not just young people, like older generation people too. It's like seeing like old people walking around with tank tops is like, it's kind of expected.
It's not uncommon to see exposed shoulders. Like, ever since your wedding, when your sister talked about like, oh, am I okay? Like my shoulders are showing. I've been more aware of that now. And I see like, there are like almost no women who are like showing their shoulders here.
Yeah. Chelsea, don't worry. It's not as big a deal as the internet makes it seem.
Yeah, it's because you're foreign. They'll forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah. But she messaged me a bunch of times, like going up to my wedding, like, is this going to be offensive if I don't wear a dress with shoulders? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even notice it until she brought it up. And I was like, oh, I guess that's a thing here.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, I was just looking because it's freaking 33-degree weather outside, and like everybody is having like. The amount of long sleeve shirts that I saw is just, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. It is crazy. You'll see that. And it's always, I always call them the poker players. You see like the old Obasans that have like the little visor out down here. It's like, you can't see their face at all. And they have like their gloves that are like all the way up to here.
Okay. So be honest, if you saw someone like that in the United States, what would you think?
You would think that person's a weirdo.
Yeah,
you'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Person.
You obviously are not like something's going on up here.
Yeah.
Like people would look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird because like in the States, like you say, people have the white people have fair complexions. They get sunburned easier, but there's much less of like a consciousness of UV rays.
Yeah.
Compared to Japan.
Well, I think there's just like a different philosophy around it, right? Because you look at Japan, and it's not, to be honest, it's not really unique to Japan. It's like this is kind of like a Central Asia kind of thing where it's like there's this desire to be white, or at least have a light complexion. Where I think if you like look at like Western countries like the U.S., there's a desire to be dark. Yeah. Right?
Why do you think white people want to be darker in the States?
I don't know.
Why? So okay, I thought you would actually give me an answer there. Come on,
I mean,
man.
I don't know, but I do know that know is, I remember growing up as a kid, my mom would make remarks like, "Hey, you need to go outside. You're like really pale."
Yeah, right.
And it's like there's this idea of like paleness is unhealthy.
Yeah.
In the US. Well, like you need to get some sunlight and you need to like get a more healthy looking complexion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get vitamin D from sunlight, you know, And if you don't get enough of that, then, it can cause some really serious issues.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, on the flip side, it's also very harmful on your skin to be out in the sun. So it's like I get the idea on both cultures, but it's interesting that like both cultures view the opposite thing as healthy.
Yeah.
It's like no. I need to be pale because I can get cancer. I can get skin cancer from the sun.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like in the U.S., it's like no. We need vitamin D. We need to have like a darker complexion. Yeah. So like we're not going to be sick and looking like unhealthy.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny. It goes back to the amount of people that you see in the States. Well, at least where I'm from, because where I'm from, right? So in Massachusetts, eastern Massachusetts, near Boston, there's lots of beaches.
Yeah.
The summer gets pretty hot. I would actually say that the temperature gets almost the same as Tokyo. It's just not as humid.
I believe that. Yeah.
So it's a lot more bearable than it is here.
Yeah.
But like from my experience, the summer in Seattle is a lot more mild.
Oh, way more. Way more. Summer, I mean, honestly, like, I hate to say this because I'm from Seattle, but Seattle's not my favorite place in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right? I greatly prefer California.
Yeah.
But
that's why you live in Shonan.
Yeah. I'm not gonna even deny that.
Yeah.
Of course. However, I will say the one thing that Seattle has going for it that makes it such an incredible place is the summer.
Yeah.
The summer and by a little bit of extension into like fall.
Yeah.
The summers there are just unbeatable.
Yeah.
It's true. So comfortable there.
Like I remember, so when I was a student there, I would spend summer vacation in Boston.
Yeah.
But then when I was trying to get residency and I lived in Seattle for a while and I got my own job there and stuff, I spent the summers there. And I was just thinking, man, this is like paradise.
Yeah.
Because it's not too hot.
No.
It's like what? The hottest it gets is like 27 degrees Celsius.
It can get a little bit hot on some of those like late August days. It can get into the 30s, but even when it does,
it's quite breezy.
It's dry and it's breezy.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's pretty nice actually. Yeah.
I think Seattle has like the best summers ever.
Yeah.
But do you know about the comic, The Oatmeal, right? But I was talking about how summer in Seattle is amazing. And, I saw this comic online where it says like winter in Seattle is just rain, kill me.
Yeah.
Spring in Seattle is just rain, kill me.
Yeah.
Fall in Seattle is just rain, kill me. But August is beautiful sunshine.
Yeah.
And so for like 1 month, 2 months, it's perfect.
Yep.
But the rest of the time it's pretty rainy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty bad. I will say that's like kind of similar to how Japan is.
Yeah.
But it's different, right?
Okay.
So summer here in Japan starts realistically like late May.
Yeah.
Right? But you get this wonderful, great, super relaxing, super breezy, comfortable weather from like late May until mid-June.
Yeah. For like 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then it just rains nonstop for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you get to where we're at now, which is like mid-July, and it doesn't really rain again until September.
Yeah.
But it's just like scorchingly hot and humid every single day.
Yeah.
And this is what it is for the next month and a half.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad for the next month I'm going to be in the United States.
Yeah.
Because I can't deal with it,
Dude, I love Japan, but if there's one thing that I would say that I would even go so far as to say that I hate, it's the summer here.
Yeah. I would, so realistically in the future, if I didn't have the option of going to the United States, I would probably get like a summer house in Hokkaido or something like that.
Yeah, no. I completely
it.
understand. However, I will say that my area is pretty nice because
Shonan
we
is
are
pretty nice.
Near the water in Shonan, and it's so great. So something that I think is really cool about Shonan. So once again, we're gonna
let's just talk about the Shonan.
It's the Shonan episode now. So one thing that's really cool about Shonan is they started building these temporary izakaya, like beach bars.
This is like the 10th time you've talked about these.
I know, but I want to talk about them because they're so good. They're so good. So there's these beach bars, and we just go up and get drinks, and that's it. It's just super chill.
On the beach.
There's even hamburger shacks on the beach now.
Yeah,
and it's so crazy. So the water park is opened up now.
Okay.
And so now we have a water park right next to us, and it's just like, oh, dude, it's like I really feel like I'm in California.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's funny because in the United States, you're not allowed to drink alcohol on the beach, right?
Yeah, so that's a really weird thing, right? Because you do drink alcohol on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to, but you do. Do you know the little...
How do you do it?
So there's a loophole in the system, and the loophole is... You cannot be having a marked alcoholic beverage. Mm-hmm. So what people will do is they'll get the red Solo cups, the little plastic red cups, and they'll pour the alcohol in that. And once that's in, you're good.
Yeah, then you can drink, no problem.
It's the most insane rule ever.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes you see people in the cities, like they'll have a bottle of alcohol in a brown paper bag, so you can't see the label, but they're just drinking.
Yeah, and it's just like everyone knows what's going on, right? Yeah. Everyone knows that like in the brown paper bag there's a bottle of alcohol. Everyone knows that in the red Solo cup they're not drinking apple juice.
Yeah, right.
Right, like. The cops know it, everyone else knows it, but it's just like it's kind of accepted. Yeah. Right. But it's so funny because in Japan, I'm actually planning a work drinking party. Okay. On the beach.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Next weekend.
Oh man.
And so, well, yeah, I mean, you're not part of my work anymore.
That's true. That's true. But okay, whatever. Yeah. Keep on going.
But yeah, so we're gonna lay out a tarp and have everyone drink, and everyone's bringing food and stuff. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about that. But it's just like, this idea of having like drinking parties on the beach is very different from like what drinking parties would look like in the US.
Yeah, well, I mean, because like you say, you know, everyone has to kind of hide it, even though everyone knows what's happening, you know? Like the relationship that the United States has with alcohol is like the weirdest thing ever.
Such a weird
relationship. Like so near where I live, right? So I live, so my parents have recently moved to a town called Lynn, Massachusetts, which back in the 30s was really big for like shoe production. Okay. We actually had, like an Edison Electric Company building there. It was like a really big thing back then. But yeah, so like on one of the main roads, I found this like fountain-esque kind of thing. And I found out that what it was a drinking fountain of water, because back in the 19th century, early 20th century, there was a big like temperance movement where people would not want to drink alcohol. You know, people go to bars and drink alcohol all the time. So what the people in the temperance movement tried to do is they would create these outdoor fountains where you could drink water and hang out with each other. And it's like this fountain is no longer functioning, but it's like,
hey man, do you want to go hang out and drink water?
Sounds great.
Oh yeah, you know what? I want to do that after work, especially on Friday nights.
Well, those guys are the ones who got alcohol banned in the United States, you know? But it was funny because like even though alcohol was banned, everyone knew where to get alcohol. You could even ask a taxi driver where you could get alcohol and they would tell you, you know? So it was like one of those things that was banned but not really banned.
Yeah.
But it's like because of that, we have all these strange rules related to alcohol in the United States.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
It's super crazy, man.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of things about like dealing with the water. Not dealing with the water. We're dealing with the summer heat.
Yeah.
Talking about beach parties, and now we're talking about alcohol.
Yeah.
Was there something else for you when you came to Japan about how people deal with the summer heat? Was there something that surprised you?
Nah.
Yeah, I feel like
I think we've pretty much covered it all.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is like just the air conditioning units, how that's so different.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we can end it here, and I'll see you. don't do that until the video is done cutting.
I just wanted to do it.
I'll see you next time.